Okay, hey everyone. Today I have Dr. Greg Bishop here with us. Dr. Greg, thank you for being here.
Glad to do it.
Awesome, awesome. So, why don't you tell our audience, who you are, what's your background, and what brought you here to this podcast, actually.
I'm a veterinarian. I'm a 2013 grad out of UC Davis, and
Mhm.
so I've been in practice for about 11 years. And I have been for the last 4 or 5 years doing relief work, both in general practice and emergency, and developing all sorts of little side projects. So kind of
Mhm.
curious about all sorts of things. I right now I teach part time at the veterinary nursing program at a local community college. I've been writing a blog, just kind of general interest for not only veterinary medicine, but just kind of largely creative and human animal bond interest. But I also have done a lot of actual like research, just like general practice research. So I was involved with one of the first clinics to use video-based telemedicine. This is 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, how long ago?
Um,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so I kind of got into the research side on GP by doing a clinical trial. We were using video telemedicine, and not very many other people were. So I thought, why don't we do a clinical trial? And we did post-operative rechecks
Hmm.
and published in 2018. So that was like one of the very first studies utilizing video. And so I've just kind of been interested in new technologies in veterinary medicine. When I first got out of school, I was very in school. You're very awash in all the really cool, exciting new things, and they're doing CT scans on turtles, and that's very normal. And then you get out of the clinics, and it's like, hey, we haven't updated anything since the '60s here, so. So I just got interested in that, and telemedicine was like the hot new thing. This is pre-COVID,
Yeah.
so I had given
Yeah.
talks on that, and still follow that a little bit. But then with AI, I've been interested in that because I just think what a cool, accessible technology that is. It's a tool. It's a brand new tool, and it's really interesting, and definitely has I think, a huge capability for improving veterinary medicine.
Yeah.
So, as far as I can tell, there's lots of people who are interested, but from what I've seen on the clinic floor, not a whole lot of people are really utilizing it.
Yeah.
And
Precisely.
yeah, I think there's just kind of a general, I don't know what the best word, maybe like a little bit entrenched position of veterinarians. Like, hey, I'm just going to kind of learn how I practice, or I'm going to practice how I
Hmm.
practice without necessarily taking the time to learn a whole new skill and tool. But
Do you think it's fear, or do you think it's like don't have the time, or why would you think that is?
yeah, I do think there's an idea about wasting time learning something.
Mm.
I think there's like a preconceived bias that it's not gonna work because
Hmm.
people try it once and they go, oh, it didn't work right away, so it can't
That's
possibly work.
precisely.
I have a funny little aside really quickly, but the
Yeah.
telemedicine
Yeah.
thing, I didn't want to actually use telemedicine at first. My boss said this is what we're doing.
Okay.
He was very much tech forward. Let's leverage all
Yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah.
So I was starting to use it, and I hated it at first. We had all these tech problems with it and Wi-Fi issues, and there was one call where I was like, this stupid call is not working. My screen was black. A client couldn't see me. I was really, really annoyed, and I was just thinking, like,
This is
tech,
not gonna
this
work.
telemedicine will never work. This is so dumb. And then I was calling the company, just complaining, "Hey, your program sucks." I was really resentful and
Yeah.
had a bad attitude. And then he was like, "No, the code looks good on our end. I don't know what's going on." And then as I was talking to him, I looked up at the webcam, and the slider was just closed on my camera. So that was kind of a humbling experience for
No way. No. I actually was not expecting that to be the end of the story. I thought it was going to be something else that, sometimes it
No,
doesn't work. Like it didn't
just
work the first time, and then, oh my goodness.
yeah, no, just stupid user. But it was a good lesson because I thought, oh yeah, if it doesn't work, it's not
Yeah,
necessarily the tech's fault. I mean, we're human, we make
yeah,
mistakes. We need to know how to utilize
yeah,
new technology.
yeah.
And I've also talked with colleagues who are a little bit older than me who never learned how to use ultrasound, and I
Wow,
can't imagine not
wow.
having that or not utilizing that. I'm just
Right.
such a better practitioner. So that kind of gave me some insight to we should be embracing this stuff. We should be
Yeah,
learning this stuff, and I
yeah,
really think AI is it has the potential to kind of take a lot of the stuff that is unpleasant about
mm,
medicine and make it give us the freedom to do the
yeah,
things that are enjoyable to get back to kind of what we like to do,
yeah.
take away
No, that makes
robotic busy work.
That makes complete sense. Precisely that. It's like can you or at least and this is an interesting point actually, a segue into there's this two trains of thoughts where AI could be very useful for the non-medical stuff, the admin work, paperwork like medical records, like AI scribes. But then you have the other train of thought where it's more complicated. It could save time, but it could save more time as well. But you have this double-edged sword where, for example, maybe AI to be used for inferring diagnosis or something that is a little bit more, how you call it, concerning if the AI gets wrong.
Yeah,
That's when, you immediately start losing the trust, right? Because look, like if you have AI to automate certain things, and sure, it will make mistakes, right? Like AI is non-deterministic, it's probabilistic, it will make mistakes. Like you have a little bit of leniency towards the type of things that it can make mistakes on, but if you're relying on AI to tell you the diagnosis of something and that is wrong, hmm, that's when, maybe you as a doctor will start losing trust, and at that point you'll be like, I cannot trust this thing, right? So,
yeah.
um,
Well, I think part of that is understanding the use of the tool.
yeah,
And you don't use the blunt side of a scalpel blade, you use the sharp side. And that's where it's kind of fun to be learning this new
precisely.
tool. And I'm having there's some online forums where I'm having discussions with other vets who are utilizing it, learning about, hey, this is a good way to use it, and then learning the pitfalls too. I do think for me, being in this stage in my career where, I've got 11 years of clinical experience under my belt and I can, I'll know when it's making a mistake. I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
recognize it easily. I think it'd be a little bit more worrisome if a new grad was really relying on that heavily. You have to have the mentorship and the experience and the judgment because the AI is very good at doing a lot of these tasks and it's very good about generating stuff, but it'll never understand, it can't make judgments. I
yeah.
don't
Or
believe it can. It
the
might look like it
semantics
is,
of
but
it.
it's not doing that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it
yeah,
can't
yeah.
understand the salience of, a particular animal to a particular client. So yeah, but again, it's if you think of it as a tool,
Yeah.
that has all this potential and you understand that it's it's not a panacea, it's not a doesn't won't solve everything, and it's got flaws and downsides. That
Right.
just makes it like any other tool that you're using, mean that there's not a huge amount of upside as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. That makes complete sense. I think I wanted to ask you a little bit, Dr. Greg, about your writings. So I brought other people in. I don't know. I think we spoke that Dr. Will Tancredi as well, who's one of
Yeah,
the first guests here and one of the first people that I knew in veterinary medicine that knew about so deeply detailed about AI and was a veterinarian. And he also writes a lot. First of all, I don't understand how you guys write so much. Like, where do you have this time to do this? But one of the reasons why you and I got connected is because you wrote an article. I think it was something like are people actually using AI on the floor or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Is AI actually being used? And then you started talking a lot about, ChatGPT and large language models and a lot of these things. And so I guess I wanted to ask, like, first of all, how did you learn about these things? When was like your first time delving into large language models and whatnot? Did you just play with it? Um, and uh, and what prompted you to write this type of stuff?
Yeah, I probably 5 or 6 months ago, I started using ChatGPT in the clinics.
Okay.
I played around with it a little bit, and then I thought, let's see what it can do. It's pretty impressive in terms of what it can generate. So yeah, I'd upgraded to the newer model, and then I just started trying to think, how can I use this in the clinic to be
Yeah.
helpful? So after a month or two of doing that, I thought, I'm not, I'm seeing other people talk about this a little bit, but it kind of reminded me of the telemedicine thing, where
Hmm.
it's just all this clamor and confusion and kind of like, oh, this is a huge deal, oh, it's not a huge deal, but nobody was actually talking about how to use it. And because I do relief and I work in different clinics, I was talking to a bunch of other clinicians, which is kind of a good survey of the
Yeah.
broader veterinary population, and just almost nobody was using it, or they would say, oh, it's stupid, it doesn't work, or oh, I don't, I'm not going to do that. And then I just thought, why not write a quick little thing? It's non-technical, it's
Yeah.
not high and mighty, it's not policy based, it's just like, hey, I'm a vet, this is
Yeah.
how I'm using it. And I found a few different ways that ChatGPT as a large language model was
Yeah.
helpful. Um, and so I just wrote it up and shared it, and the response has been cool because
Yeah.
that's helped me find other people that are using it.
Yeah. It led to
Um,
this. So
yeah, yeah. So it's interesting to see. I actually had some really good feedback from a cardiologist who's local here, who
okay.
had taken the time. This is not me. I'm more of like a impatient person with this, but she had taken the time to really engineer a prompt that
Okay.
was like really precise and thoughtful, and that's been really helpful. So she shared that with me, and
Nice.
yeah,
And
great.
is this what is this for? Like to generate what?
Yeah. So that one is for taking referral records. So I work in an ER a lot, and we get referral paperwork that
Mhm.
is sometimes just unbelievably burdensome to look through.
Yeah.
You can just pop a PDF into
Yeah.
ChatGPT, and with this prompt, it'll give you a very specific outline of the chronological order of the medical history. You can
Mm.
actually one of the best things is to query the medical history. So you
Yeah.
upload that PDF and you say, has this patient ever had an abdominal
Right.
ultrasound? It'll trend creatinine values for you. It'll
Mm.
do all this really amazing interactive stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the for me, that's by far the most exciting, beneficial use of it.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, we've thought about this as well in our product. So we have this fancy feature where we can allow you to summarize a, large PDF or multiple PDFs that referring veterinarian brings you in. We haven't still done like the questions and answers to that because we weren't sure if the vets wanted to spend the time querying that.
Yeah.
But like with all this technology, like some will hate it, some will love it, some will ask for more. So like it's just it's also I think very early, right? We still specifically for Vetric, we still talk to a lot of people that don't know what AI is or what an AI scribe is or what like and it's humbling as well like there's competition of course but it's also good to inform the people who don't know about this technology so that they can start leveraging and play it with themselves and using it their own.
Yeah.
And with that, I wanted to ask you, like, do you think you have any advice or any tips, for people who do not know about like ChatGPT or AI or AI scribes or anything or this summarization thing that you were saying, like anything that can help these veterinary professionals be more efficient? Do you think you have anything that you would like to say advice or something for them to get started?
Yeah, I would just say that for me, the sort of paperwork and typing and reading through referral paperwork was such a
Yeah.
it's such a miserable part of the job that I was ready to invest a little bit of time in learning how to get around that or just to make it more efficient. So, for anybody that hates reading through a 50-page record of, invoice items and and the fact that you have to learn different formats for these things,
Yeah.
um, if you are willing to spend a little bit of time interacting with these programs and then understanding that just because you got an output that didn't make sense doesn't mean it's not static. This thing is going to learn, it's going to adapt to you. um,
I love that. Yeah.
I think it's very, very worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just taking the time. I listened to some podcast about these LLMs, and they said,
Yeah. Yeah.
you probably need to spend about 10 hours using it to get a feel for how it's going to benefit you.
Yeah.
And yeah, that seems like a lot when you're really busy and you're doing all this stuff. But again, the idea that this is actually going to really
Really.
um,
Yeah.
improve your experience as a clinician is to me very, very worth it. So if you spend 10 hours working with these programs and you don't find any value in it, I don't know, I'll buy you a drink or so if I run into you at a conference.
There you have
I
it,
think you
folks.
probably will.
Dr. Greg just offered a drink who everyone that gets 10 hours of work of ChatGPT and doesn't
Yeah,
like it. It's here. I'm the witness. So
that's right. Yeah.
no,
Boy, I
that's
hope that doesn't come back to bite me.
no, it won't. And if it will, actually, I think it would be a good thing. You would meet a lot of people. So, no, thank you so much, Dr. Greg. This is amazing. Really, thank you for that perspective. You're one of the few that, have talked more about like the summarization of using like this paper rather than an AI scribe sort of thing, which is great. It's like what are the other set of things that you could do with AI that help other vets or other types of vets as well. So really, really appreciate your journey, your experience, and coming here. Thank you so much. And I'll link the writings that you do once I publish the podcast so that people can take a look.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Nice
Appreciate it.
chatting.
Bye.